Hey, guys, picture this. It's a perfect July evening at our family's beach house in Cape Cod. The waves are crashing, the grill sizzling, and I'm surrounded by aunts, uncles, and cousins, laughing like old times. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and I've poured my heart into building my jewelry business from nothing. That night, I was buzzing. My second store was about to launch, backed by a $150,000 loan I'd fought tooth and nail for. But then, I made a mistake that changed everything. I checked my bank account. My phone screen lit up, and my heart stopped dead. Every single dollar, $150,000, my life's work, was gone. Poof. Vanished. I refreshed the app, thinking it's a glitch, but the zero stared back, mocking me. My hands shook as I scanned the room, and that's when I saw him, my brother-in-law, Jake, leaning against the counter, smirking like he'd won the lottery. "We deserved it more than you," he said, his voice dripping with arrogance. The room spun. This wasn't a mistake, it was a betrayal, and it was happening in my own family. My stomach churned, but I grabbed my purse, looked him dead in the eyes, and said, "You won't believe what's coming next." A loud crash shook the house, and trust me, you're not ready for what happened after. Where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments, and smash that like and subscribe button if you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted. Stick with me, this story's about to blow your mind. Okay, guys, let's rewind. That moment in the beach house, with my bank account drained and Jake's smirk burning into me, it didn't just come out of nowhere. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and my life's been a roller coaster of grit, dreams, and some serious heartbreak. Growing up in Boston, I was the kid who'd rather save my allowance than blow it at the arcade. My parents ran a little bakery in the North End, pouring their souls into every pastry to give me and my younger sister, Sarah, a solid middle-class life. They weren't rich, but they taught us that hard work and integrity were worth more than gold. Sarah, though, she was the free spirit, always chasing the next party, spending her cash as fast as she got it. We were different, but we were tight, like two sides of the same coin. I clawed my way through college, earning a business degree while working nights at a diner. After graduation, I spent 3 years in corporate retail, learning the ropes, but my heart was elsewhere. I dreamed of something real, something mine. So, at 28, I took a leap, quit my stable job and sank my last $3,000 into Carter Creations, a sustainable jewelry brand showcasing local artisans. My friends called me crazy. I lived on instant noodles, worked 18-hour days, and reinvested every penny. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, wondering if I'd fail. But slowly, the business grew, first a small online shop, then a brick-and-mortar store in Cambridge. By last summer, I was on the verge of opening a second location, with $150,000 ready to make it happen. That money wasn't just cash, it was my blood, sweat, and every sacrifice I'd made. But life doesn't play fair. 5 years ago, a drunk driver took my parents in a head-on collision. I can still hear the phone call, the cop's voice flat and cold. Sarah and I were wrecked. I buried my grief in work, building my business like a fortress. Sarah. She spiraled, dropped out of college, drifted through dead-end jobs. When their estate settled, we each got $80,000. I poured mine into Carter Creations, turning it into a brand people loved. Sarah's share. It vanished faster than I could ask where it went. I tried to be there for her, but she pulled away, and I let her, my biggest regret. That brings me to the Cape Cod beach house last July. It's been our family's haven for generations, a weathered, shingle-sided escape where we'd grill, swim, and laugh every summer. I walked in, buzzing about my expansion, thinking this reunion would be a celebration. But something felt off from the start. Sarah was quieter, her eyes darting nervously. And Jake, her slick-talking husband, was watching me like a hawk. I didn't know then that my dream was already in his crosshairs, that the family I trusted was hiding a snake. Stick around, because what happened next will make your jaw drop. So, there I was, stepping into the Cape Cod beach house, my heart still racing from the dream of my second store, but already feeling that uneasy prickle, like someone was watching me. That's when I realized this story isn't just about me or my business. It's about the man who thought he could tear it all down, my brother-in-law, Jake Thompson. Let me take you back to how this snake slithered into our lives, because trust me, the red flags were there. I just didn't see them for what they were. 2 years ago, my sister Sarah, 32, was still reeling from our parents' death. She'd always been the life of the party, but losing them dimmed her spark. That's when she met Jake at a crypto conference in Miami. He was 38, tall, with a slick smile and a gold chain that screamed, "I'm somebody." He called himself a crypto trader, tossing around terms like blockchain and yield farming like he owned Wall Street. Within 6 months, they were married in a Vegas blowout that cost more than my first store's rent for a year. I remember standing at their reception, watching Jake swirl a glass of bourbon, his eyes scanning the room like a predator. He sauntered over, looked me up and down, and said, "Your little trinket shop's cute, Emily, but real money's in crypto, not stringing beads for hippies." His laugh was sharp, like a blade. It stung, but for Sarah's sake, I bit my tongue. Sarah changed after Jake. The sister who'd belt out karaoke at family barbecues became quiet, always checking his reaction before speaking. Phone calls with her got shorter, her voice tighter. I'd ask how she was, and she'd dodge, saying, "Oh, Jake's got everything under control." But nothing was under control. My cousin Rachel, who's got a nose for trouble, pulled me aside one day. I saw Jake at a bar in Boston, arguing with some sketchy guy about unpaid bets. He's in deep with gambling, word is, he's burning through cash he doesn't have. I brushed it off, thinking Sarah would tell me if things were bad. I was wrong. Jake's charm was a mask. At family dinners, he'd dominate the conversation, bragging about his big deals while flashing a new Rolex or designer sunglasses. But the details were always vague, crypto this, offshore accounts that. I started noticing how he'd steer talks toward money, probing about my business, my savings, even my parents' estate. "You must be sitting pretty with that jewelry gig," he'd say, his smile never reaching his eyes. It made my skin crawl. Once, at Christmas, he cornered me by the beach house fireplace, asking about my cybersecurity. "Ever get hacked, Emily? Small businesses are so vulnerable." His tone was casual, but it felt like a threat. By the time we got to that July reunion, my gut was screaming. Jake was there when I arrived, sprawled on the deck like he owned the place, a beer in one hand, his other arm slung around Sarah. She looked smaller somehow, her sundress too perfect, like she was playing a part. "Emily, the entrepreneur," he called out, his voice mocking. "Still chasing those Etsy dreams?" I forced a smile, but inside, I was on edge. Rachel whispered later, "He's been asking Uncle Tom about his pension. Something's up." I didn't know then that Jake wasn't just a sleaze, he was a ticking bomb, and my $150,000 was his target. Keep watching, because this guy's about to show his true colors in a way you won't believe. Alright, guys, let's set the scene. It's July 2025, and I'm pulling up to our family's beach house in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, the gravel crunching under my tires. The salty air hits me, and for a moment, I'm a kid again, chasing seagulls with Sarah. This place, a weathered, shingle-sided haven with creaky floors and sun-faded furniture, has been our family's anchor for generations. Every summer, we gather here for our reunion, aunts, uncles, cousins, all piling in for barbecues, late-night card games, and stories by the fire. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and this year, I'm walking in with a fire in my chest. My jewelry business, Carter Creations, is on the cusp of something huge, a second store in Cambridge, backed by a $150,000 loan I've poured my soul into securing. That money's not just numbers on a screen, it's years of late nights, skipped vacations, and every ounce of my grit. I'm ready to celebrate, to share the win with the people I love most. But the second I step through the screen door, that dream starts to crack. The house is buzzing when I arrive. Uncle Tom's flipping burgers on the deck, Aunt Linda's fussing over a tray of her famous clam dip, and my cousin Rachel's kids are darting around, trailing sand everywhere. I'm hauling my overnight bag, grinning, when Rachel jogs up, her techie smartwatch glinting in the sun. You're here, she says, hugging me tight. How's the Empire? I laugh, popping my trunk. Better than ever. Second stores ago, prime spot, killer foot traffic. Her eyes light up, but then she leans in, voice low. Heads up, Sarah and Jake got here an hour ago. He's extra. New Tesla, new shades, bragging about some crypto jackpot. It's weird. My stomach twists. Jake Thompson, Sarah's husband, has been setting off alarm bells since he sneered at my business at their wedding. I nod, steeling myself, and head inside. Through the open windows, I hear Jake's voice booming over the chatter, holding court like he's running for mayor. Crypto's the future, Tom, he's saying, waving a beer. Double your money in a month, guaranteed. Uncle Tom raises an eyebrow, unimpressed, but Jake doesn't notice. Sarah's next to him, perched on a stool, her sundress pristine but her face tight, like she's holding her breath. She spots me and flashes a smile, too quick, too brittle. She calls, hopping up for a hug. Her arms feel frail, and I catch a flicker of something in her eyes. Fear? Guilt? Before I can ask, Jake turns, his grin all teeth. The jewelry queen arrives. Still peddling those eco beads. His tone's playful, but it cuts. I force a chuckle. Yup, and we're expanding. Bigger than your crypto scams, Jake. The room laughs, but his eyes narrow, just for a second. I head to my usual room down the hall, the one with the lumpy mattress and the view of the dunes. As I unpack, I notice something off. My tablet, which I'd left charging on the nightstand, is angled wrong, its case slightly askew. The charging cable's plugged into a different port. I'm meticulous, borderline obsessive, about my tech, especially since my business lives on it. My pulse picks up. I check the tablet's lock screen, nothing's been accessed, but the hairs on my neck stand up. Downstairs, I hear Jake's laugh, loud and forced, and Sarah's voice, barely audible. Rachel's warning echoes, he's been asking about money, poking into everyone's finances. I tuck my tablet into my locked suitcase, my gut screaming that this reunion's about to go sideways. You won't believe what I found next, stay with me, because this is where it gets wild. Guys, I need you to brace yourselves, because what happened next at that Cape Cod beach house turned my world upside down. It's Saturday morning, the second day of our family reunion, and I'm in my room, still rattled from the night before. That uneasy feeling, my tablet being moved, Jake's smug attitude, Sarah's nervous glances, it's gnawing at me. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and my jewelry business, Carter Creations, is on the verge of a massive leap with a second store, funded by a $150,000 loan. That money is my lifeline, the result of years of grinding, sacrificing, and dreaming. But in a single moment, everything I've built starts to crumble, and the betrayal cuts deeper than I ever imagined. I'm sipping coffee on the deck, the ocean breeze mixing with the smell of Aunt Linda's blueberry muffins wafting from the kitchen. My phone buzzes with a call from Mia, my business partner, and I answer, expecting a quick update on our vendor contracts. Her voice is sharp, panicked. Emily, something's wrong. The payment for our new inventory just bounced. The bank says insufficient funds, but that's impossible. We had the $150,000 earmarked. My stomach drops like I'm on a plummeting roller coaster. That can't be right, I say, my voice tighter than I mean it to be. Let me check the account. I hang up, my fingers clumsy as I open my banking app, the one I've checked 100 times to make sure my dream is secure. The screen loads, and I freeze. My checking account, $0. Savings, $0. Business account, $0. Every single penny, $150,000, my entire future, gone. I refresh the app, my heart hammering, but the zeros mock me, cold and final. This isn't a glitch. This is a nightmare. I stumble back into the kitchen, my face drained of color, my phone gripped so tight my knuckles ache. The room's alive with morning chatter, Uncle Tom teasing Rachel's kids, Aunt Linda passing out muffins, Sarah picking at her plate. Jake's there, leaning against the counter, scrolling on his phone with that same infuriating smirk from last night. The noise fades to a dull roar as I stand there, the weight of what I've just seen crushing me. Emily, you okay? Rachel asks, her brow furrowing. I can barely speak, my voice a hoarse whisper. My money, it's gone. All of it. The kitchen goes dead silent, forks clattering to plates. Aunt Linda gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. Uncle Tom stands, his firefighter instincts kicking in. What do you mean, gone? He demands. I hold up my phone, the screen glaring with those damning zeros. Every account, checking, savings, business, $150,000, wiped out overnight. Someone transferred it all. My voice cracks, but anger starts to burn through the shock. Someone in this house. The words hang heavy, like a storm cloud bursting. Rachel's eyes widen, darting around the room. Aunt Linda stammers, maybe it's a bank error, honey. But I shake my head, my gaze locking on Jake. He hasn't moved, hasn't blinked, just stands there, calm as a snake in the grass. Sarah's staring at her plate, her hands trembling, and I know, she's hiding something. I take a step toward the table, my voice rising. Those transfers happened last night, from my devices, right here. Someone got into my tablet, cracked my passwords, and stole my life's work. Who was it? The room feels like it's shrinking, the air thick with tension. Uncle Tom clears his throat, ever the mediator. Let's stay calm, Emily. Have you called the bank? I nod, already dialing, my hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped the phone. I put it on speaker, and the bank rep's voice fills the silence. Ms. Carter, I'm seeing multiple transfers from your accounts, starting at 11:15 p.m. last night through 3:47 a.m. They were authorized with your credentials, from a device previously linked to your account, at your current IP address. My blood runs cold. I didn't make those transfers, I snap. I was asleep. The rep's tone stays flat, professional. The passwords and security questions were correct. It appears legitimate from our system. The call ends, and I feel like I'm drowning. Someone in this room, someone I've shared meals and memories with, betrayed me. I scan their faces, Uncle Tom's concern, Aunt Linda's shock, Rachel's outrage. Then I see Jake, still scrolling, his lips twitching like he's fighting a smile. Sarah's practically shrinking into her chair, her eyes glued to her untouched muffin. Jake, I say, my voice low, dangerous. You were awfully curious about my tablet yesterday. Care to explain? He looks up, slow and deliberate, his smirk widening. You're barking up the wrong tree, Emily. Maybe your secure business isn't as tight as you think. His words drip with mockery, and Sarah flinches, a tiny movement that screams guilt. Rachel steps beside me, her voice fierce. Bull. You've been sniffing around everyone's money all weekend. Aunt Linda tries to defuse. Now, let's not accuse, but I cut her off, my anger boiling over. This isn't an accusation. It's a fact. Someone in this house stole $150,000 from me, and I'm not leaving until I know who. Jake chuckles, a cold, hollow sound, and leans forward, his eyes glinting. Careful, Emily. You don't want to make enemies in your own family. The threat lands like a punch, but I hold his gaze, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and fury. Sarah's hands are shaking so hard her coffee spills, and I realize she's not just scared, she's terrified of him. I'm about to fire back when I notice something else. Jake's phone screen, still glowing in his hand, shows a banking app, the same one I use. My breath catches. This isn't just suspicion anymore, it's a lead. I don't know how deep this goes, but I'm done playing nice. What happens next will make your blood boil, so stick with me, because this family reunion is about to explode. The air in the Cape Cod beach house kitchen is so thick you could cut it with a knife. I'm standing there, my phone still burning in my hand, those zeros, $150, 000 gone, searing into my brain. My jewelry business, my entire future, has been gutted overnight. The bank confirmed the transfers came from my tablet, right here, while I was asleep. My family's around me, Uncle Tom, Aunt Linda, Rachel, Sarah, and Jake, but this doesn't feel like family anymore. It feels like a battlefield. Jake's leaning against the counter, his smug grin daring me to make a move, while Sarah's trembling beside him, her coffee mug shaking in her hands. I've just called him out, spotting his banking app open, and now, it's go time. This is the moment everything unravels, and trust me, you're not ready for what's coming. Jake, I say again, my voice steady despite the rage boiling inside. You've been poking around my stuff since we got here. You want to tell me why your phone's showing my bank's app? His smirk falters, just for a split second, but it's enough to confirm my gut's been right all along. He recovers fast, though, laughing, a cold, jagged sound that makes my skin crawl. You're paranoid, Emily, he says, pocketing his phone like it's nothing. Maybe you should check your own security before pointing fingers. Sarah's eyes dart to him, then back to her mug, and I catch it, that flicker of fear, like she's waiting for a bomb to go off. Rachel steps up, her tech-savvy instincts kicking in. Don't play dumb, Jake. You were in Emily's room yesterday, weren't you? I saw you coming out of the hall when she was helping with the grill. The room tenses, all eyes on him. Aunt Linda gasps softly, clutching her necklace, while Uncle Tom's jaw tightens, his firefighter calm barely holding. Jake's grin doesn't budge, but his knuckles widen around his beer bottle. You got proof, Rachel. Or are you just yapping to back up your cousin's meltdown? His tone's mocking, but there's a crack in it, a hint of panic he can't hide. I take a step closer, my heart pounding but my voice ice cold. Proof? Oh, I've got plenty. You think I'd leave my business unprotected after building it from nothing? My tablet's got security software that tracks every move. Every failed login, every keystroke, every face that tries to crack it. Jake's eyes widen, just a fraction, and I know I've hit a nerve. Sarah lets out a tiny sob, her mug clattering to the table, coffee spilling everywhere. Emily, don't, she whispers, her voice breaking, but I can't stop now. I pull out my phone, open the app, and hold it up. Want to see yourself, Jake? The software snapped your picture last night, right there in my room, trying to guess my passwords. The kitchen erupts in murmurs. Aunt Linda's hand flies to her mouth, Uncle Tom's fists clench, and Rachel's glaring daggers at Jake. His face drains of color, the smirk finally gone, replaced by a snarl. You're bluffing, he spits, but his voice shakes. I tap the screen, and there it is, a crystal-clear image of Jake, hunched over my tablet in the dark, timestamped 11:07 p.m. The room goes dead silent, the only sound the waves crashing outside. Sarah's sobbing now, her head in her hands, and Jake's cornered, his eyes darting like a trapped animal. Then, unbelievably, he laughs, a bitter, unhinged sound. "Fine," he says, throwing his hands up. "You caught me. So what? We need it." The kitchen in our Cape Cod beach house feels like a pressure cooker about to blow. I'm Emily Carter, 36, staring down my brother-in-law Jake Thompson, who just admitted to stealing $150,000 from my jewelry business, Carter Creations. My tablet security software caught him red-handed, and Sarah, my sister, just broke down, revealing his gambling debts and the threats that forced her to help him. The family, Uncle Tom, Aunt Linda, Rachel, is reeling, torn between shock and fury. Jake's backed into a corner, his smug facade crumbling, but he's still spitting venom, daring me to do something about it. I'm gripping my phone, ready to call the bank's fraud department, when the unthinkable happens, a moment so wild it'll leave you speechless. Trust me, you're not prepared for what's coming next. A deafening bang shakes the house, like a thunderclap ripping through the summer air. The front door splinters open, and heavy footsteps pound across the creaky floorboards. My heart leaps into my throat as 3 uniformed police officers burst into the kitchen, hands on their holsters, followed by a woman in a crisp blazer and a man in a suit flashing a badge. "Everybody stay where you are," one officer barks, his voice cutting through the chaos. The room freezes, Sarah's sobs choke off, Jake's face goes ashen, and Aunt Linda drops her coffee mug, the ceramic shattering on the tile. I'm rooted to the spot, my mind racing to catch up. What is happening? The woman steps forward, her eyes scanning the room with laser focus. "I'm Detective Laura Bennett, Boston PD Financial Crimes Unit," she says, her tone calm but commanding. "Emily Carter." I nod, my voice stuck in my throat. She holds up a tablet of her own, displaying a fraud alert from my bank. "We received an automated flag about suspicious activity on your accounts, multiple unauthorized transfers totaling $150,000. We're here to investigate." My jaw drops. I hadn't even called the bank yet, but their system caught it. Before I can respond, the man in the suit steps up, his badge glinting under the kitchen lights. "Agent Mark Sullivan, FBI," he says, his voice low and serious. "We've been tracking a multi-state identity theft ring, and Mr. Thompson's name just lit up our radar." Jake stumbles back, his chair scraping the floor, his eyes wild like a cornered animal. "This is ridiculous," he shouts, his voice cracking. "You've got nothing on me. This is a family dispute, not some federal case." But his bravado's hollow, and I see sweat beading on his forehead. Detective Bennett ignores him, turning to me. "Ms. Carter, your bank's fraud system flagged the transfers as part of a pattern we've seen before, linked to a network stealing millions across New England." My stomach twists. This isn't just about my money anymore. Jake's part of something bigger, something sinister. Agent Sullivan's gaze locks on Jake. "We've got evidence tying you to at least 12 stolen identities, including attempts to access Thomas Carter's pension fund." Uncle Tom's head snaps up, his face darkening. "You went after my retirement," he growls, stepping forward until Rachel pulls him back. Jake's mouth opens, but no words come out, he's flailing, his lies unraveling. Sarah's trembling, her hands covering her face, and I move to her side, my arm around her shoulders. "Sarah," I whisper, "did you know about this?" She shakes her head, tears soaking her cheeks. "I swear, I only knew about your money. He said it was a one-time thing to pay off his debts." Detective Bennett's voice cuts through. "Mrs. Thompson, we need to talk about your involvement, but first," she turns to Jake, nodding to the officers. Jake Thompson, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and grand larceny. An officer moves forward, cuffs clicking, but Jake lunges, shoving a chair at them. You can't do this, he yells, his voice desperate. I'm a businessman, not a criminal. The officers grab him, pinning his arms, and he thrashes, his Rolex glinting as he fights. Sarah lets out a choked cry, and I hold her tighter, my heart breaking for her but burning with rage at him. Then, Sarah does something I'll never forget. She pulls away from me, her tear-streaked face hardening. She rolls up her sleeve, revealing a patchwork of bruises, purple, yellow, some fading, some fresh. He did this, she says, her voice shaking but clear, pointing at Jake. He's been hurting me for years, threatening me if I didn't do what he wanted. The room gasps, a collective inhale of horror. Aunt Linda bursts into tears, Uncle Tom's fists shake, and Rachel's hand flies to her mouth. Jake's eyes narrow, a flash of pure malice. You're lying, Sarah, he hisses, but the officers tighten their grip, silencing him. Detective Bennett's expression softens, but her voice stays firm. Mrs. Thompson, we'll document this and get you help. Domestic abuse charges will be added. She turns to me. Ms. Carter, your security software evidence is gold. We've already frozen the accounts Jake transferred to, and with your cooperation, we'll likely recover most of your funds. Relief floods me, but it's bittersweet. My money might come back, but Sarah's scars, physical and emotional, won't fade so easily. Agent Sullivan steps in, his tone grim. Thompson, you're not just looking at local charges. Our investigation links you to a syndicate moving stolen funds through cryptocurrency exchanges. You're in deep. Jake's fight drains out of him, his shoulders slumping as the cuffs snap shut. He's led toward the door, his head down, but he shoots one last venomous look at Sarah. This isn't over, he mutters, and my blood chills. The officers shove him out, the screen door slamming behind them, but that threat lingers, heavy and ominous. I turn to Sarah, pulling her into a hug as she sobs into my shoulder. It's okay, I whisper, though nothing feels okay. The family's stunned, the kitchen a mess of spilled coffee and shattered trust. Outside, the waves crash relentlessly, a stark contrast to the chaos inside. I'm shaking, not just from anger but from the realization that Jake's crimes run deeper than I imagined, and we're not out of the woods yet. What we uncover next will blow this story wide open, so don't go anywhere, this is about to get crazier. The Cape Cod beach house is eerily quiet now, the chaos of Jake's arrest still hanging in the air like a storm that's passed but left wreckage behind. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and I've just watched my brother-in-law, Jake Thompson, get hauled off in cuffs by the Boston PD and FBI for stealing $150,000 from my jewelry business, Carter Creations, and running a multi-state identity theft ring. My sister Sarah's trembling beside me, her bruises exposed, her voice raw from confessing years of abuse. The family, Uncle Tom, Aunt Linda, Rachel, is shell-shocked, grappling with the betrayal of someone we thought was one of us. Detective Bennett and Agent Sullivan are wrapping up, but I can't shake the feeling that Jake's venomous parting words, "This isn't over," means something worse is coming. And then, just when I think the worst is behind us, a discovery flips this nightmare upside down. Buckle up, because this twist is wild. Rachel, my cousin, who's been a rock through this mess, is pacing the living room, her tech-savvy brain clearly spinning. She says, her voice low, urgent, Jake's suitcase is still upstairs. If he's as shady as the FBI says, there's gotta be something in there. My pulse spikes. She's right, Jake's too calculated to leave without a backup plan. I glance at Detective Bennett, who's taking Sarah's statement in the kitchen. Go, I whisper to Rachel, nodding toward the stairs. I'll keep them distracted. Rachel slips away, her sneakers silent on the creaky floorboards, while I ask the detective a pointless question about bank recovery timelines. Minutes later, Rachel's back, her face pale but her eyes blazing. She's clutching a small black USB drive, her hand trembling slightly. "Found this taped inside the lining of his suitcase," she whispers, pulling me into the hole. My heart's pounding as we huddle by the window, the ocean's roar outside amplifying the tension. Rachel plugs the USB into her laptop, her fingers flying across the keys. A password prompt pops up, but Rachel's already on it, muttering about brute force software she's used for work. "Come on," she hisses, and after what feels like an eternity, the screen unlocks, revealing a single file, a spreadsheet labeled Ledger_2025. We open it, and my breath catches. It's a meticulous record of fraud, names, bank accounts, social security numbers, and transaction dates. Not just my $150,000, but dozens of victims, neighbors from Sarah's apartment complex, Sarah's old college friends, even a local charity Jake volunteered at. The total: over $2.3 million siphoned over 3 years. My stomach churns as I spot a column labeled Relocation Plan, detailing wire transfers to a bank in Miami, dated tomorrow. "He was gonna run," Rachel gasps, her voice barely audible. "He used your money as his getaway fund." I'm reeling, the scale of Jake's deception hitting like a tidal wave. This wasn't a desperate grab for cash to cover gambling debts. This was a cold, calculated operation, and my family was just a stepping stone. Rachel scrolls further, and we find a chilling note: Carter Family Accounts, Phase 2, August. He'd planned to hit Uncle Tom's pension, Aunt Linda's savings, even Rachel's kids' college funds next. My blood boils, but there's more: a list of burner phone numbers labeled Associates, hinting at accomplices still out there. "Detective." I call, my voice sharp, waving Bennett over. She strides in, her eyes narrowing as Rachel shows her the ledger. "This is dynamite," Bennett says, her tone grim. "It ties Thompson to a network we've been chasing for months. He's not just a lone wolf, he's got partners, and this Miami plan suggests he was about to disappear." Agent Sullivan joins us, his jaw tightening as he scans the screen. "We'll seize this and trace those transfers," he says. "If he's got accomplices, they're next." Sarah's in the doorway now, overhearing, her face a mask of horror. "He was leaving me," she whispers, her voice breaking. I pull her close, my heart aching. "He was using all of us," I say, my voice steady despite the fury inside. The beach house, once our sanctuary, feels tainted now, its walls hiding secrets we never imagined. Jake's arrest was just the beginning, his ledgers opened a Pandora's box, and I'm terrified of what else we'll find. Don't move, because what comes next will leave you stunned. The Cape Cod beach house feels different now, like it's holding its breath after the storm that just tore through our family. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and I've been through hell. My brother-in-law Jake Thompson stole $150,000 from my jewelry business, Carter Creations, only for us to uncover he's part of a $2.3 million fraud ring, with a secret ledger plotting his escape to Miami. He's in cuffs, thanks to the Boston PD and FBI, but the wounds he left, especially on my sister Sarah, are raw. Her bruises, her broken spirit, the betrayal we all feel, it's heavy. But as the police cars pull away, their lights fading into the dusk, something shifts. This isn't the end, it's the start of a fight to rebuild, and what happens next shows the real strength of family. Stay with me, this part's going to hit you right in the heart. The living room's dim, lit by the soft glow of lamps as we gather, shell-shocked but together. Sarah's curled up on the couch, a blanket around her shoulders, her eyes red but no longer darting in fear. I sit beside her, my hand on hers, while Uncle Tom paces, his firefighter grit keeping him steady. Aunt Linda's wiping tears, her usual chatter replaced by quiet resolve. Rachel's on her laptop, still digging through the USB drive's data, her face set with determination. The ocean's roar outside feels like a reminder that life keeps moving, even when your world's been flipped upside down. "We're not letting him win," Uncle Tom says, his voice rough but firm. "Not after what he's done to Sarah, to you, Emily, to all of us." His words ignite something, a spark of defiance we all need. Sarah speaks, her voice small but growing stronger. "I thought I was alone in this, that I deserved it." She pauses, swallowing hard. "But you're still here." I squeeze her hand, my throat tight. "You're not alone, and you never were." Rachel looks up from her screen, her eyes fierce. The bank just emailed. They've reversed 98% of the transfers, $147,000's back in your accounts, thanks to your security software and the FBI's freeze. Relief floods me, but it's bittersweet. Money can't erase what Jake did, but it means Carter Creations lives to fight another day. I think of my employees, the artisans I support, and the second store I'm determined to open. "We're moving forward," I say, my voice steady. "All of us." Uncle Tom clears his throat, pulling an envelope from his pocket. "Linda and I talked to the family. We've started a fund for Sarah, to help with therapy, a fresh start, whatever she needs." He slides it to her, and Sarah's eyes widen, tears spilling over. "I don't deserve this," she whispers, but Aunt Linda leans in, her voice fierce. "Don't you dare say that. You're our girl, and we take care of our own." Sarah clutches the envelope, a sob breaking free, but it's different now, less pain, more release. Rachel chimes in, "I've got a friend at a women's shelter who can connect you with resources, Sarah. You're not doing this alone." The room feels warmer, like the cracks Jake left are starting to mend. I stand, my heart pounding with a mix of gratitude and resolve. Jake thought he could break us, but he didn't know who he was dealing with. This family, we're messy, we're stubborn, but we don't quit. Uncle Tom nods, a rare smile breaking through. "Damn right. And Emily, that second store of yours. We're all showing up for the grand opening." Laughter ripples through the room, a fragile but real sound, and I can't help but grin. Sarah looks at me, her voice soft. "I'm moving in with you, if that's okay. I need a safe place." My eyes sting. My door's always open. We'll figure it out together. Outside, the stars are out, glittering over the dunes. I step onto the deck, Sarah beside me, and for the first time in days, I breathe deeply. The $147,000 means my business can expand, but this moment, Sarah's hand in mine, the family rallying behind us, is worth more. Jake's ledger exposed his plans to target us again, but it also exposed his weakness. He underestimated us. We're not just surviving, we're rebuilding, stronger than before. What Sarah does next will inspire you, so don't go anywhere, this story's far from over. The Cape Cod beach house is behind us now, but its lessons linger like the salt in the air. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and after Jake Thompson's betrayal, stealing $150,000 from my jewelry business, Carter Creations, and exposing his $2.3 million fraud ring, my family's found a way to heal. Sarah, my sister, has moved in with me, her bruises fading but her spirit still fragile. With 98% of my money recovered and our family united, we're rebuilding. But Sarah's about to do something so bold it'll give you chills. This isn't just recovery, it's a battle cry, and you're going to want to hear this. A month after the reunion, Sarah's in my Boston apartment, her laptop glowing in the dim living room. She's been quiet, wrestling with the shame Jake left her with, but tonight, her eyes have a spark I haven't seen in years. She says, her voice steady, I'm starting a blog. For women like me, trapped by financial abuse, manipulated into silence. My heart skips. She shows me the draft, raw, honest posts about Jake's control, how he drained her inheritance, and the fear that kept her compliant. "I want to show them they're not alone," she says, her fingers trembling but resolute. "That there's a way out." The blog, called Breaking Free, goes live, and the response is electric. Comments flood in, stories from strangers who faced similar abuse, thanking Sarah for her courage. But it's not enough for her. She reaches out to a local community center, offering to speak at their support group. I'm there when she steps to the mic, her voice shaking at first but growing fierce. "I thought I was nothing," she tells the room, tears glinting in her eyes. "But I'm here, and so are you. We're survivors." The crowd erupts in applause, and I'm fighting back tears, proud beyond words. Sarah's advocacy doesn't stop there. She partners with a nonprofit to create resources for financial abuse victims, using her story to push for better legal protections. Her blog catches the eye of a local news outlet, and suddenly, she's on TV, her face fierce as she calls out predators like Jake. "They thrive in our silence," she says, her voice ablade. "So let's speak." I'm in awe. My sister, once broken, is now a beacon. Her fight's just beginning, and it's about to change lives. Keep watching, this story's got one last punch to throw. Here we are, standing on the other side of a storm that could have destroyed everything. I'm Emily Carter, 36, and what happened at our Cape Cod beach house last July was a wake-up call I'll never forget. My brother-in-law, Jake Thompson, stole $150,000 from my jewelry business, Carter Creations, exposing himself as part of a $2.3 million fraud ring. My sister, Sarah, bared her scars, physical and emotional, from years of his abuse, and our family fought back, reclaiming 98% of my money and rallying around Sarah as she launched her advocacy blog, Breaking Free. The FBI's still untangling Jake's web, but we're not waiting for justice to heal. As the dust settles, I've learned lessons that changed how I see family, trust, and survival. These truths hit hard, and I'm sharing them because they might just save you from a betrayal of your own. Stay with me, this is where it all comes together. Looking back, the beach house feels like a crucible, forging us stronger but leaving scars. That first night after Jake's arrest, I stood on the deck alone, the ocean's roar drowning out my thoughts. I was angry, not just at Jake, but at myself. How did I miss the signs? Sarah's silences, Jake's probing questions, the way he twisted our trust like a knife. I realized then that betrayal doesn't always announce itself with a neon sign. It creeps in, wearing the face of someone you love, and that's what makes it so dangerous. My first lesson, trust your instincts. When my tablet was moved, when Jake's smile felt too sharp, my gut screamed something was wrong. I ignored it at first, not wanting to rock the boat, but installing that security software saved my business. If something feels off, don't wait for proof, act. The second lesson cut deeper. Boundaries aren't betrayal, they're survival. Growing up, I thought family meant giving everything, time, money, trust, without question. But Jake exploited that, turning our love into a weapon. Sarah's advocacy taught me that real family protects, not demands. When she set boundaries with Jake, refusing to stay silent, she reclaimed her power. I've started doing the same, locking my devices, saying no to guilt trips, even from well-meaning relatives. It's not about shutting people out, it's about guarding what matters so you can give from strength, not obligation. Finally, I learned that rebuilding isn't just possible, it's a choice. Sarah could have let Jake's abuse define her, but she chose to fight, turning her pain into a lifeline for others through Breaking Free. My business could have collapsed, but I chose to push forward, opening my second store last month to a line of customers stretching down the block. That choice wasn't easy. There were nights I doubted myself, days Sarah cried herself to sleep. But we leaned on each other, on Uncle Tom's quiet strength, and Linda's fierce love, Rachel's relentless support. Rebuilding means facing the wreckage, picking up the pieces, and daring to dream again, even when it hurts. As I walk through my new store, sunlight glinting off the jewelry displays, I see Sarah's reflection in the glass, smiling, planning her next blog post. Jake thought he could shatter us, but he didn't know our roots run deep. These lessons, trust your gut, set boundaries, choose to rebuild, aren't just words. They're armor for life's battles, forged in the fire of betrayal. So, I'm asking you, what's your fight? Have you faced a moment that tested your strength? Drop it in the comments, I read every one. Hit like and subscribe if this story hit home, because we're not done sharing. The waves keep crashing, but we keep rising. Let's do this together.